Hi, and welcome to Living on Purpose with me, Jenny Dean. And if you're watching this, you can see that I have my two blessings. I have my Hudson. Hudson, say your name.
Hello, my name's Hudson.
And then I have, who's this?
Harper.
So these are my two little kids. I talk about them all the time. Hudson, how old are you?
10.
And I'm 8.
8 years old. So they are what? Almost like 24 months apart, okay? So I wanted to bring them on. They are out of school this whole entire week because it's, that crazy between the Christmas and the New Year's holiday. So I had to go do this today, and I wanted them to be a part of it. So they always listen to my podcast. They know exactly what's going on. And so I want them to just be able to be a part of it. That's it. So I'm going to ask Hudson 2 questions, and then I'm going to ask Harper the same 2 questions. And then they're going to go and play in the lobby, and then I will start the podcast. So Hudson, I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite thing out of this whole entire year? What did you do? What did you play? What was your favorite thing?
I liked playing football and going to Galveston.
Hudson is really, really good at football. They go to Super Bowl every single season. Really good coaches, really good teams, and he's been with the same team since he was like 4 or 5. No. So they're really, really competitive, which it's healthy. It's all really good stuff. Harper, what about you? 2019, what was your favorite thing?
Going on the cruise and playing soccer.
Oh, that's right. So Harper plays soccer. She loves gymnastics. Really good at soccer, and we went on the cruise. You liked the cruise, huh?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, we were like confined in a really small space for 7 days. You probably liked that.
It was
small.
And you could eat whatever you wanted. You could have ice cream at 10 a.m.
Oh, yeah, I had a steak every night.
Hudson had steak
I had spaghetti every night.
Yeah.
Spaghetti, yeah. The food was really good. And then where did we go? Do you remember?
We went to Belize, Cozumel, Honduras.
Wow, I'm surprised you remember that.
Yeah, I forgot.
What was your favorite?
Cozumel. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Cozumel was the best.
Yeah, we did fun things. Remember we went snorkeling?
Yeah.
I don't like snorkeling.
Harper did not go
I'm scared.
snorkeling. She just stayed with me.
Harper's a scaredy cat.
Hey!
Okay. So, and then Hudson, let me ask you, do you guys remember, both of you, this is a question for both of you, what we did about a month and a half ago, Daddy and I, what did we do? We went to church and we
got baptized.
got
That was
baptized.
a month ago.
Yeah, it was a month ago. So that was a big deal, right? Like you should always remember. And why do we get baptized?
We got baptized.
To give our life to God.
Good.
Give our life to Christ.
Right, Hudson. So I have all the pictures. That's going to be in your baby book. That should be a big, what are we doing? Dancing? Yes, dancing. Okay. So that was my highlight of this year, just FYI with both of you, because I will never, ever, ever forget dunking little one underneath the water. Daddy did Hudson, and we got to do it on our own, which was super cool, super meaningful.
Yeah.
Glad you guys liked it.
It was fun.
Anything else you want to say, guys?
No.
You don't want your friends to learn anything from you? Here's your time.
No.
What can they learn from you?
Nothing.
Hudson?
To be good.
To be a good person? Remember, that's what you
Yeah.
wrote on the thing at the mall. You were supposed to write your intentions at this kids zone place, and Harper wrote, be a good person. That's really all we can do, right? In 2020, you want to be a good person. Okay. All right, so I want you guys to say bye. Okay, they're going to go sit in the lobby for a little bit, and I'm going to finish up. All right, good job, guys. Hi, and welcome again to Living on Purpose with Jenny Dean. So I got the kids back there, and they are just going to be chilling out for a little bit. I wanted to talk to you guys today. My title of this podcast is called The Controlled Roadmap for 2020. how to create intentions, not resolutions. And I'll talk about why we don't do resolutions for 2020, the power of positive thinking. So I want to really, really make sure that to teach and to just to get you guys to know that we are totally in control of our thoughts and we can change the negative thought. It's just like a snap in our fingers. So it's super, super quick. And I want to teach just little techniques that we can stay on track of positive thinking. So I hope everyone had a good Christmas. This is like the in-between time from Christmas to New Year's, which is a super weird, strange time. I like to stay on my schedule, which of course, creature of habit, but I do know people, kind of go out of town and get off their schedules and then they come back on January 1st. I will say the studio I teach at is insane. Like today I taught a 7 and an 8:30 class, and each class one class had 43 people, one class had 32 people. So everyone's back at it already, which I love to see. And I just hope the momentum, everything keeps it up because you want consistency, right? You don't want to just be the January people who I hate at the gym. It's like the gym is packed, crowded, because they're not going to be there for very much longer. And you know that, So you just kind of ride through January is what we do in the fitness area. All right. So this is a really good quote. What are you supposed to do when you don't like anything? You're supposed to change it, right? If you can't change it, change the way you think about it. That's from Maya Angelo. So it's really true. You can change the way any situation that you have. It's just a really quick of a snap of the fingers that you can change your mindset. And I'm going to help us all get there. Okay. So my life motto in 2019 is this too shall pass, right? Life is not always easy, but it doesn't have to be really difficult either. What I learned is what we do not have control, that we do not have control what happens to us, but we do control of how we react to what happens to us. In 2019, everything I knew changed. I lived in the space of the unknown for a long time, which is not I called it uncertainty, and I knew it. And it was for a good 3 months of just kind of not knowing what was going to happen. And if you're going through that now, I want to help you. I know what it feels like to have your whole world crash down on you. It's really scary. You feel totally alone. I remember feeling totally alone. All alone for a while. I want you to know that I have been there. I'm still there. And I will say it gets better every single day. God does not want us to live a life alone. So I will always rely on him. And I want to share how I got through a really hard time in my life. I think I got through it level-headed. I think I learned a lot about myself. And they're just tips that I will never forget. And I just want to help other people with them. So if you're dealing with any type of negative self-talk, I want to make sure that you don't feel alone. Everybody does it. I do it all the time. This morning, for example, I would love to have slept in. The kids don't have to get up for school. I had to teach my 7 a.m. class, which means I'm normally up at 5:30 just to prepare. And, I have to do all my morning routine before I teach other people. So, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to sleep in bed. It was freezing cold outside and not want to get up. But it's just everything I tell myself. I do the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which I think most people know about it. It's you are in bed and you lay down, you give yourself 5 seconds. And by the time you hit 1, you better be up off the bed because you can totally talk yourself out of it. So I just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm up. And then I don't ever go lay back in bed. So that's just a mind trick that you can do to help you. I do believe that we can change the negative self-talk in our heads. It's just everything that we have to train ourselves. What we tell ourselves is really how we're going to feel. So if I didn't want to go teach this morning, I tell myself I get to go teach this class today. I don't want to be a person in bed and have no meaning in life. So I get to go teach over 100 people today, and they get to listen to me for 60 minutes, which, most people don't have that. I get it. So if you just change that little, I have to go teach, or I get to go teach, or I have to go to work, or I get to go to work, or I have to go work out, I get to go work out. Like that should absolutely change the way you think about something that you kind of don't want to do. You're kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Tell yourself, I get to go do this. And I promise you it will change you. So one of the first steps to changing your negative mindset is acknowledge your feelings. So this is a funny story. I was teaching a class, I would say maybe 5 years ago, kind of a newer teacher. And a lady came up to me and said, she's like, just want you to know, the class was really good, but I don't like your music. It was too loud, and I don't like your choices on your music, and I just think you should change your music. And I was like, oh. And I just was really polite. I said, I'm sorry you feel that way. There's other classes here at the studio, or I remember saying, I'm sorry to hear that. I wasn't rude. I just listened to her. And I said, okay. So in the back of my mind, will I change my music? No. Will I turn it down? No, because there's other classes they can take, or, they can kind of tune it out if they like my classes, which I think a lot of people do. Not like my classes. I think a lot of people tune me out or tune the music out just to get the workout in, which is fantastic to do. Anyway, so if I was in a negative mindset, I feel like I either would have been a complete bitch to her, like not nice, or I would have dwelled on that. So I remember going to my car and just not feeling right. I'm super in tune with my feelings, or I've gotten to be that way with age. And I remember thinking, what happened that is making me feel yucky? Like I don't want to feel yucky. So I have to go back and play in my brain what happened for the past 2 hours. And I'm like, oh yeah, a lady came up to me and said she did not like my music. And that doesn't make you feel good, because it's not positive. It is not a compliment. It is not any of that. Right? So I have to identify why I feel yucky, which I don't think most people do. I think it's really easy to just not identify the feeling, and you just keep going into the rat race of negative. Oh, I'm always the one that can't find a parking spot, or I'm always the one that's last in line, or I'm always just victim. And you're going to notice it when you start to change your mindset into the positive thinking. You'll notice who surrounds you in the negative mindset, and you'll want to get away from them, because it's really easy to go back into that victim mentality, or I'm just this way because my parents are this way, or, and it's really easy to go down that road with them, and it's not a good life. It's not how you're supposed to live life. You're supposed to be positive, and God wants you to rely on Him. And just changing that little piece. I remember sitting in the car, I identified why I felt yucky. And I said, well, that's her problem. Like that is not my problem. First of all, I would never say that to an instructor, A. Second of all, she must have had a bad day, or never will I put her issue onto me. Like that's called boundaries. I'll just be like, man, she probably shouldn't come to my class. And that's it. And so the feeling goes away, and then you have a new clean slate. So the negative feeling just brushes off. It's really that easy. It's really that easy to change the thoughts in your head. And they've always said, which I always say in yoga, where you focus your thoughts, your energy, that's where your mind's going to go. So if you're in that negative victim, woe is me, poor me, you're going to attract that, A, like all your friends will be like that. And second of all, it never goes away. Like you just get worse into that hole, and it's just a big spiral down, in my opinion. So the first step to identifying your feelings. Like, why do you feel yucky? What made you feel this not good feeling? Identify it. And I like to picture it out of my head, and I can hold on to the thought or to the problem. And then I can talk my way out of it. Be like, oh, it was her problem, or that's his problem, or that is not my problem. So, and I protect my feelings and emotions, and I don't get tied to the issue. It's not my issue. If she has a problem with my class, that's not my problem. It's her problem, right? So I am completely disconnected to the emotion behind it, which if you don't have emotion behind it, it's not going to stay in your brain, your subconscious brain, and it goes away. It's just that easy. Anyway, so this is a lesson I also teach my kids, which I should have asked them when they were here. If my son is saying something negative about my daughter, like she's too loud or she's annoying, which I get a lot, I will make them say something nice about her. Like he will have to say something positive, something nice about his sister. Or if they're saying something yucky about their friends or their cousins, I will make them change the brain to think something positive. Like I'm lucky to have her as a sister, or I'm lucky to have cousins in my life. Just to teach that young, just because, God, I think it's so easy to spiral down into, my life sucks and blah, blah, blah. I don't want my kids to learn that at all. I want them to know that they are in control of their thoughts. So that is my tip is really, really, you have the ability to change your thought pattern, everything. God wants us to live in a positive mind frame. Okay. He wants us to have faith, which means trust in God. So I get asked a lot why I don't worry about certain things. For some reason, I don't. And I know the reason now is because I have faith and I don't think God wants me to fail. And I know he will control everything. And when you take your problems away from you being the fixer, which I'm not the fixer, he is. So it really gets you away from the emotions and the drainage and the depression, all of that, because you put it in his hands. And I have learned to do that. And it feels amazing. Amazing. Anyway, so I will say once you start to acknowledge your feelings, you're going to probably take back on who you want to hang out with, who you want to spend your energy with. That's just, normal life situation. No one wants to hang out with someone that's complains all the time, complains about the same issues all the time. That's a big one for me. If you're complaining about the same issue and you're not doing a damn thing to change it, nothing will change. You're just going to keep being that person that complains, and no one's going to want to hang out with you. I've been through it and it makes me like run because if you're not going to change it, then you're just going to tell me about it and I'm going to try to help you and change it and you don't do anything I tell you to. Done. Right? So it's just a life lesson that we can all learn just to protect our positivity and our energy. Trust in God. I do believe once you have trust in God, nothing is impossible. Nothing. That's a plain fact that I really believe. I really want to instill in my children that God has you. You have faith. That's trust in someone else, a higher being than yourself, and you will be fine. All of it. Anyway, so just to train yourself, that's kind of what I just wanted to really quickly go over is we are in control. A lot of the times I teach in my classes belly breathing and I tell them to lay on their backs and you can do this anywhere. You don't have to be in a yoga studio. You don't have to be laying down. You can be seated. I do it in carpool a lot. So, you can either put a hand on your heart, your left hand on your belly, and it's called belly breathing in yoga. You take a big inhale in through your nose. You feel yourself expand your belly. You hold your breath for a count of 4, 3. You count it in your head, 2, 1, and then you exhale all of your breath out, all of it. And you're supposed to do that 7 times. And that's something I learned in Tony Robbins. That's not really yoga. So it just makes your brain and your body sit back, get grounded, and then you can take on anything, really. So those are just really good tips. You can do it 7 times. In my class, we do it for about 2.5 minutes. And it changes. I can see people's bodies relax on their mats after like 4 or 5 big belly breaths. It's like very visual. What they hold in their body is stress. I do it too. Your shoulders go up by your ears. Everything gets super tight. But once you focus on just your breath, your inhales and your exhales, the louder, I say this in class too, the loudest person in the room is the smartest. So I used to be like, what are these people doing? Why are they so loud breathing? But there's a whole science behind it. The more that your body and your brain hear yourself breathe, the more the muscles relax in your body and the brain relaxes. And who doesn't want that? Right? That's meditation. It will decrease your blood pressure. It will make your heart rate go down. And I always say it's controlling your heart rate. Like we are in control of all of that. Every breath you take, we are in control. So belly breathing, great example of trying to help you. Just if there's something going on that you don't think you can handle, relax. Get somewhere. You can do it in the car, anywhere seated, and just hear yourself breathe. Anyway, so those are my tips: to acknowledge the problem, do something about the problem, like, just get your emotion out of it. And then, belly breathing is a great exercise to help yourself center yourself, ground yourself. And I will say it won't happen overnight. It's just training. It's like they say 21 days makes it a habit. Maybe try it for 21 days to identify the yucky feeling. I don't think people do that enough. I think they just go around feeling yucky. And I don't think that's everybody. But someone that's like really in tune, I said this on my last podcast, someone that's really in tune with their emotions and feelings, you're going to be able to recognize them in the room, and they're going to feel like you're going to be attracted to them. You're going to want to hang out with them. You're going to want to be around their energy, and it's because they're grounded somewhere, right? They know how to do that. And that's a technique. That's something, a life skill that we should all learn. Anywho, enough about that. Also, another, I do want to add a self-care tip, which I did talk about last week. If you didn't listen to it, listen to it. But it's self-care tips that are non-negotiable in my life that I do daily. And the reason why I believe so much in self-care is because once you spend, and it could be 2 minutes on yourself. It could be, I ask people, I'm like, what did you do for yourself today? And if they can't find anything, there's a problem with that. Like every single day, we should be doing something for just ourselves, nobody else, just ourselves. It could be 1 minute of, meditation, breathing, or it could be sitting in the bathtub by yourself with a glass of wine. That's something for yourself. It could be a workout. That's my self-care 100%. It is just for myself. Something that you're doing every single day to get you out of the people-pleasing, but when you give yourself self-care, it reminds yourself that you're worth something, that you are special, and you will get less negative self-talk. That's just a fact. If you think that you're this higher being, that you deserve all of this, there's no way you're going to look in the mirror and be like, ew, gross, I'm gross. Like that just won't happen because you believe that you're giving yourself self-care tips, and they are tips that are going to help you build your self-confidence. And once you have confidence, you don't talk to yourself like that. Bottom line, should not even enter in your brain because you're worth way more than that. So that's my tip. Like ask yourself at nighttime, like if you're sitting down, you put the kids to bed, sit on the couch, what did you do for yourself? Maybe yourself is watching Netflix, sitting down with a glass of wine. That's your thing. By all means, do it. If that relaxes you, that's your thing. But do something every single day. Cooking, eating, whatever it is, something that your body's like, okay, I deserve this, right? Like in your brain, you are worthy of that every day. Okay, I'm going to take a big breath. That subject is over with, okay? So, and then always message me if you guys have questions. I'm not the person that knows it all. If you want to share something at all about tips, about self-care, about negative mindset, changing your positive thinking, I am all open for that. I want to talk about now, everyone sets resolutions for 2020, and I was going to bring my vision board, but I'll bring that next week. But I did make a big vision board for my 2020. Just because I believe in manifestation, which is saying that you're going to do it, putting it on paper, seeing the visualization every single day, putting it in your subconscious brain, and it will happen. It will absolutely happen. Okay. So I really believe in that. But they do say the reason why we don't make resolutions anymore is 8% of resolutions die in January. And I will say that's the people at the gym. It's super, super crowded. You can't get on a machine or the classes are packed. But just give it to February because those people, 8%. I mean, that's crazy to me. So only 8% live outside of January, if that makes sense. So everything else is dead. The resolutions aren't working because they're not really, they're like, let's lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. Well, how are you going to do that? So I believe in setting intentions and decisions in your life rather than resolutions, in my opinion. So That is why it is better to set intentions and resolutions. This year, I want you guys to think it's a fresh start. It's a clean slate. I want you to, that's why I did that reflection on 2019. It's good to reflect and to be like, oh, I don't want to bring that in 2019. For me, so I went to a counseling session and she was like, write down all the positive things in 2019, everything that you want to take with you to 2020. So I just kept writing. I have it in my journal and it was huge, long, long list, a lot of positive things. The negative, and then you're supposed to write a negative thing. So she gives me a whole new piece of paper, write all the negatives. And that's like fear, sadness, loneliness, negativity, all of that. I don't want to take. I do not want to take in 2020. So it's good to just write it down, write your feelings down to kind of see what you want your next year to be. So that's setting clear intentions. So I kind of know my track for the positivity in 2020. I listed everything that I want to bring with me. And once you write it down, the brain, it's like what I do with my kids in their spelling tests. If they always want to type their spelling test out, and that is nothing for your brain. You have to actually have pen and paper and write it down, write the words down, and it will ingrain in your brain. Same thing with us, right? So, so that is an exercise that I suggest everyone do. All the positives, don't take the negatives with you, and you won't know you have negatives until you take time, sit down, write it on your phone, write it on paper, whatever you need to do, just get it out. And then some questions that you can ask yourself to help you with the goal setting in 2020 are mine for myself are what is a boundary that I want to set in 2020? That's a big one for me. And I am going to do a podcast on the boundaries book because I'm learning a lot about it. But some of the boundaries that I want to set, mine are I don't want negative energy in. I have to protect my energy because I'm learning that I'm an empathetic person, which means I just take on so much. And that's probably why I go home from parties at 9:00 at night. I've literally taken on everyone's energy in there. And I'm learning, it's like a life skill you have to teach to protect yourself and not take on people's stuff. And I just do. I think I've always been like that. And that's why I'm totally drained. People say, why don't you make it past 10:00 at a party? It's because of that. It's because my body shuts down, my brain shuts down, and I've taken way too much. And not everyone's like that. It's weird to be like this. And I'm just learning. And I know I'm not the only one out there because I'm reading tons of books and tons of research. So if you're like that, and you have tips, I would love to know some because that is where I'm at on my journey. So I just have to lay complete boundaries down for myself, just to protect myself. Because I want to spend my energy on the good things, like getting up early in the morning and taking care of my workouts and taking care of my kids. And that's where I want to spend my energy, not on everyone else's stuff, And I will say no more often in 2020. This 2019, this whole Instagram thing, I have a love-hate relationship with it. You get a lot of offers one person was like, come to my cycle class, come to a class and we'll promote you and you promote us. And, it's like a tit for tat thing. And I said yes to about everything oh, sure. Give me the protein that I'm never going to drink or give me the, class that I'm never going to take again after this first one. And now I'm like, no, it's just not worth my time. And for some reason I thought I had to say yes to every opportunity in 2019, but this year I'm not, because time is way more important to me on where I want to spend my time. I have learned that this whole year. Another question is, what is a pattern that you do not want to repeat in 2020? So something that you did in 2020 that you just don't want to repeat. Mine is people pleasing, obviously. Worrying about everyone else's feelings over my own. That's not something I want to repeat because that's not living a fulfilled life for myself. It's like living in regret and fear, and I don't want to bring those with me in 2020. So identify that, what is a pattern that you don't want to bring? And that's probably a tough one. Number 3, what relationships can you make that will change your life? So this is a really good quote from Martin Luther King. He said, in the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but we will remember the silence of our friends. So I do believe in, who you hang out with has a huge, huge impact on how you spend your life and what you do with your life. There's been a lot with me cutting people out just because of the negativity and the complaining that being an empathetic person like myself, I want to take on, and I truly, 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 like in the deep heart of my soul, want to help them. Like I feel like I can fix them if I had them for like 1 month, like in my pocket. I really feel like that. But I've learned that it's not my job. Like it's their journey and they have to go on that themselves. And I can't fix people. And if they're not ready to change, they're not ready to change. And I can't ever make them want to change. So mine is relationships. I want to only be around people that are going to lift me up. I can lift them up. We can bring something to the table, right? I will say my relationships, just like going out and all of that, I think I'm not going to say I'm done with that because I do enjoy a little bit of social time, but I'm going to protect myself on, what I put out there, who I go out with, just to hold boundaries and to learn. I have a lot of learning to do with relationships. I do think that, which I'm excited to learn. And I will learn. If you tell me to read a book, I'm going to read it. If you tell me anything that will help me, I'm going to do it. People know that about me. And just because I'm on a journey to learn more about myself, and I want that for other people. And I have learned a lot. I can't change people. They're on their own journey. Even if I think that I can like really, really, really help them. And I cut off my whole life just to help people. And I can't do that anymore. Anyway, so those are the 3 major things that I want you to think about for 2020 instead of resolutions like, oh, I'm going to work out. Well, you're probably not. Like you need to say what you're going to do to work out. Are you going to get up early? Are you not going to be the person in January where the resolutions go to crap? And, like don't be the general population where, oh, I'm going to get healthy this year. Well, what are you going to do to get healthy? You have to elaborate, or they're not goals and they're not specific and they're resolutions and they'll die. So just get super intentional. If you want to read a book, how are you going to read a book? Where are you going to make time in your day to read a book? Just be honest with yourself. And I do believe that it will be like a life-changing year in 2020. I do think I'm excited for it. I turned 40 this year. And I'm all about it. I want to, I think we get better with age. I want to grow. I want to learn. And I want to share it with you guys. And I've always said, I don't think I know everything. I might be just like putting myself out there. And I'm only doing that to help other people, and I hope people see that. Anyway, and I will bring in, I'm doing a vision board. I did a vision board that I have up in my bedroom. So I see it every single day. And honestly, that will just remind me what my goals are for 2020, why I get out of bed, what's my why. All of that is super, super important. So we just don't live an unfulfilled life. And I did that for so many years. And I want to spark somebody, even if I spark one person, light a fire under you to live your best life. Like, what do you want out of this life? Then I did my job, to be honest. And I will have, I'll be here next week. I want to have my kids on here more. I do think that they have a lot to share. And they're just at that age where I'm like, I want them to be a part of this because I want them to remember, what lives could they change or what can they do for other people to help other people out? It's not all about us, So I hope I'm teaching them something that they'll, grow into better individuals for. Anyway, so I will bring that. I'll bring my vision board and I will share it with you guys. And hopefully you guys can tag me if you're thinking about doing any of this, if this excites you. I do want to show you the books I've been reading. If you can't see it, this is an I've been thinking journal. I'm all about journals. And I can do this on the show notes too. I can take a picture. This is my number 1 journal, I've been thinking. So it goes through every day. It gives you like a Bible verse and then you contemplate on how you're thinking that day. This one is another good one, A Year of Faith. My good friend Deb gave me this one and it's a planner and it goes by every month. And then every month you have to have a vision just for the month. You have to have Bible verse just for the month. So it's something that you focus on every single day to remind you You're on track. You know, what was the title of it? I forget what the title of this podcast was called, is Controlled Roadmap. I love that. Like, I want a controlled roadmap. I don't want to be all over the places, right? Because that's how you're going to get to your goal, the end goal. So I hope this helps you guys. And please ask me questions. Please share with other people. I'm just trying to get my name out, the word out, just see if you can, just trying to impact as many people as I can. And I appreciate you guys even just to take the time to listen. It like means the world to me. And to come up to me in classes and tell me that you're listening is huge, huge, like makes me teary-eyed huge. So have a good New Year's Eve. Hopefully everyone is doing something special, something memorable, you know, like we can all remember it. And that's my only hope for everybody, is to live a fulfilled life. And I will see you in 2020. Bye.